Good evening, everyone. The Mad Mix Not Cheap Whiskey Review, number 5. Aberlour 12 year. Now, this is a very famous Scotch whiskey. This bottle in my state is $51, no tax. So $51 out the door. Not a cheap bottle of whiskey. Not that long ago, only a couple years ago, this was high 30s, maybe low 40s. It used to be a very affordable, good single malt Scotch whiskey. Obviously, a lot has changed with whiskey pricing over the past few years, as anyone who drinks whiskey knows. Um, Very renowned whiskey, 12 year. What they do is at the Aberlour distillery, they mature them in used bourbon barrels, and then separately they also mature them in sherry casks. Big sherry casks, if you've ever seen them, they're humongous. And what they do is after 12 years, they bring the two casks together and blend them in, not a specific amount. They blend them together until they get the taste profile that they're looking for. You know what I mean? So it's not to say they dump one barrel of bourbon and they dump one barrel of sherry and mix it together. They had probably have plenty of barrels to choose from, but they specifically blend it to achieve their flavor profile. And as you can see, I've talked about sherry casks aged, some of these blended whiskeys and how they don't have much color. As you can see, this has got the nice amber with a little ruby red on it. And you can tell this has had some serious sherry cask aging going on. So obviously the youngest barrels in any of these bottles is going to be 12 years old. So with that being said, let's huff it. Oh, right off the bat, that's a fruit bomb. You got to be kidding me. Oh, super smooth. Absolutely no harsh ethanol scent or nosing whatsoever. Oh, that's absolute fruit bomb. I'm getting everything from, like dried pitted fruit, like plums, maybe even a hint of apples in there. Absolutely smooth aroma. The legs are fantastic. If I can get it to, I haven't even taken a sip yet, and look at them. Look at that rim just hanging. It's just hanging around that glass. That is fantastic. Oh yeah, this nose is hyper. Like not a hint of ethanol in it whatsoever. What are we looking at for proof? Do we get? It's only 80 proof. Yep. So it's only 40% standard. Uh, Absolutely fantastic nose. All right, into the gullet it goes. Oh yeah, my people. This is delicious. I've heard some people call it a sherry bomb. It's not. On the palate, I get a lot more of that sherry on the nose than I do on the palate. Now, the palate still has some, don't get me wrong. But I've had sherry cask finish that I've tasted a lot more of the sherry type of notes on it. But this is very good. This is smooth. Hold on, let's get another one. Absolutely. You get the malt, you get the sherry, you get the flavors of everything you find on the nose. This is very, very drinkable. If anyone out there has had Aberlour, you probably know that this is a very, very famous, very drinkable whiskey. If you like sherry cask scotch, Aberlour is probably something you've heard of before. It is phenomenal. Yeah. Yep. You get the malt. There's no doubt about that. And you know from watching my videos, I love the malt. But this definitely has those hints of pitted fruit, something like raisins, plums. I don't necessarily get any peaches or anything like that. Maybe a hint. You almost get a hint of apple, but I'm not too sure about that. I'm not the best noser of whiskeys. Yeah, extremely smooth, extremely approachable. Definitely a good flavor. If you like scotch and you like sherry cask finish scotch. This has got to be on your list. This is very good. So, all right, the Mad Mix Not Cheap Whiskey Review, number 5. Aberlour 12, $51 bottle. I'm going to give it an 8.8. I don't like it as much as something like a Glenmorangie, or even what was the other one I did, the Glenlivet. Not those aren't necessarily sherry cask finish, so this has an entirely different flavor profile, obviously, and it's from an entirely different distillery. But if you like scotch, you like sherry finish scotch, and you like single malts, you can do far worse than this. This is one of the better ones in the medium price range. Like, I even noticed some of my old favorites. Like, I used to get Oban 16 for like $60. Now it's $90. I used to get Bunnahabhain 12, one of my favorite scotches. It used to be like 40 something dollars a few years ago. Now it's like 70 plus. You know what I mean? I used to like to get, into the Irish, get Redbreast. Used to be able to get Redbreast 12 for like 40 something dollars 3 or 4 years ago. Now I've seen it at stores for heading on 80 plus $90 for, so I mean the prices of scotch have just gotten out of hand. Well, and bourbon too. I mean, the prices of most whiskeys have gotten out of hand, which is kind of why I do the cheap whiskey series. But at the same time, like I've told you before, my life's goal is not to drink cheap whiskey. It's to drink good whiskey. And so for $51, you might say, yeah, that's a lot of money, especially compared to like the cheap whiskey series. Well, you can find some good stuff in the cheap whiskey series, that's for sure. But, as far as like, the cheapest I can find, Glenmorangie is $40. And I would consider that to be the best of the mid class, scotches, single malt scotches. Well, for $50, there's not once in the $40-$50 range, there's not a whole lot of single malt scotches in there. There's very few. I mean, I was looking around, I'm like, damn, the prices of this stuff is getting out of control. Most of them are 60, high 50s into the 60s and into the 70s and beyond. You know what I mean? A bottle of Lagavulin will cost you $100. A bottle of fucking any of those other Isla Scotch whiskeys, Lafroig, Ardbeg, Port Charlotte. These are all $60, $70 bottles. I mean, it's almost outrageous what's become of pricing on Scotch. And, whiskey in general. I've seen bourbon prices that are through the roof and ridiculous. So to find a $40 or $50 bottle, something mid-level that you can buy, you're not afraid to share with your friends, or you have company or family come over and you want to pour a nice glass of scotch that you can easily drink, and it's a decent price. Although I'm ashamed to say that $50 now or $40 now is a decent price for a single malt scotch, but apparently this is the way the market is going with whiskeys. And the same thing is true for bourbons. You know what I mean? Some of these bourbons I see, yeah, I'd like to buy them, but they're $40-$50. And what if I don't like them? You know what I mean? Now you're stuck with a $40-$50 bottle of liquor that you don't even want to drink. You know what I mean? So this is very drinkable. What did I give it? I gave it an 8.8. I think that's what I gave it. And I'll stick with that. I think 8.8 is good. I don't think it's as good as the Glenmorangie. If I was going to spend $40 on a single malt scotch, I would go with the Glenmorangie. But this is still a good, very good scotch. You would not be disappointed with this bottle. The only thing you'll be disappointed by is that you've got to spend $51 to get it. I think it's a shame. But anyway, I will enjoy this bottle. There's no doubt about that. I do not regret buying it. I've had it before in the past, but it's been a little while. You know what I mean? There are other scotches that I buy. I don't always go back to the same, bottle all the time. I like a little variety in life. You know what I mean? Some people have their one bottle or their two bottles that they really like and they stick with them, and that's fine. I can understand that because there are a few bottles I could drink every day for the rest of my life. It's a very good scotch, but it's a $51 bottle of scotch. So with that being said, take care of yourself. Love yourself. If you don't love yourself, nobody's going to love you. Love your friends, love your family, and love not cheap whiskey. Take care.